Yeah, here it comes. We're starting this video off a little bit different. You've, unfortunately, because you're a subscriber to Vanzel's Restorations, you're stuck listening to my voice. I'm even trying not to be too loud because the grandkids are asleep. Buffy, Buffy, Buffy. Welcome to Vanzel's Restorations. This video is about our four-wheel drive camping weekend that we had up at the Springs. And there's Andrew's Beast all loaded up. I had Buttercup, which is Greta's 69 Combi, loaded to the hilt. I think I had about 8 wheels in there. So I had Novi tyres for everybody virtually, plus all the camping gear, plus some recovery gear that we didn't end up using. So next shot here is when we got to Warwick and met up with Scott, who was in Nicole's lovely purple Combi. And here is the map of the Springs Park, which is about 20 minutes from Warwick, south of Warwick. And yeah, it shows you all the different grades of tracks. Now here is me very excited about rolling up at the park. We had Gidget there and Thea there, and Gunter was there in his buggy, and Caroline came a bit later, and Christine and Hope. Christine and her daughter Hope came. They came in a Combi and a BT50, which you'll see more action of soon. So we got there on the Friday. Here's Andrew setting up camp. Getting ready, and everyone's sort of unloading. So that was our first port of call, find a good campground. We were at the first campground close to the entrance, and it was a nice quiet one. We actually went for a cruise up later in the evening to the other campsite, and it was full and pretty wild. So a fair bit of yahooing going on. So we had a really lovely camp there. We had hot showers and toilets just on the hill there, so it was excellent. Sitting around the fire at night, can't get better. So here's the next morning, gone to school buggy, and yeah, everyone was cool overnight, but comfortable enough, I think. There's some of the gear we had to take. Whoa! Oh, we're straight in on the action now, and here's Hope in the BT50. She has got it pretty well set up for touring. But hadn't done a lot of off-roading, so it was a bit of a learning curve for most of us. Gunter's got plenty of off-road experience, and his buggy is set up accordingly, so you can see here how effortless it is on the dips. He's got heaps of ground clearance, and although he was having problems with his CV joints, which he changed just before going, and oh, now I've got a big space in the video. I didn't edit this very well. I must have deleted a bit of footage. But anyway, I'll just talk over it and you can just have the blank screen. It's about to come back on. Yeah, so it was something that Andrew and I thought about for ages, wanting to get VW drivers together to drive around in an off-road environment. So and for most of these ladies, not so much Danny, but it was their first time in this sort of driving. And yes, we were on the easier tracks at this dedicated four-wheel drive park. But yeah, you can see here there was still plenty of challenges for the old buses, but they did remarkably well. Very minimal damage, and that's what you want. So yeah, so I want to thank Christine for the footage that you're seeing now. So if you, yeah, it was very hard. I was trying to work out where we were going, and very difficult to film while you're sort of navigating as well. And Christine had her bus was a little bit lower and didn't really want to take it out. So Hope had the BT there, and yeah, it was worked out well because she was able to get some awesome footage like this. And yeah, so if you see some camera angles out the side of that, then that's yeah, they were basically with us. But there's the 3 main combis plus Buttercup and Andrew's gear. So basically we had the group of, what's that mate, 5 or 6 of us, so yeah, super cool. And Rudy came in his synchro a bit later on, and yeah, we sort of briefly met them, and they camped out with their family members as well, and you know, separate part of the park. But yeah, it was good they made the effort to come and have an explore around. So basically we're, as you can see from this footage now, tracks, these are sort of more access tracks that we're tackling, because at the end of the day, these parks, we didn't want anyone to bust their car and not be able to drive home. So we wanted to test them a bit, but not go too hard on it. So you can see the back of Caroline's Combi there. It's yeah, it's basically a stock 2-litre Combi, all standard suspension and everything. But the tyres I bought for her were some 195 R14 light trucks, and they're in a mud terrain pattern. So a nice heavy duty tyre with some blocky tread on it, and in this environment it's just
bloody aerials,
just what you need. Yeah, so yeah, they come with a bit more noise on the road, but I mean, being able to tackle tracks like this with some confidence is excellent. So unfortunately I was sort of, the couple of times that we had some scrapes and that on the car, I was either behind or whatever, and I really wanted to do a bit more instruction with the drivers that, you know, weren't super confident to, you know, just talk about picking the right lines and stuff like that. So basically the girls were thrown into the deep end. So, and they coped with the whole thing really well. And you know, a couple of scrapes here and there are no biggie because no one busted anything mechanically. So they, I think after the weekend they learnt, you know, a lot about their vehicles, what they're capable of, and you know, what's maybe pushing it too far. It's also important to know the limits of your car, especially if you're solo travelling. That's important. So yeah, so Andrew was in the gear, and basically his clutch was stuffed before he even got there. It was stuffed before Dubs on the hill and the off-road course. So it was, he just likes driving things no matter how bad they are, just take it anyway sort of deal. Fixes it one day, I suppose, it'll stop working and then he'll be forced to fix it. But yeah, so the, you know, one advantage of these V-dubs, let's have a look at this video if we've got this lined up. You'll see Caroline trying to take a bit of a shortcut around that corner, and there's, you never see it on the footage, that just looks like a little bit of dirt and a little bit of a mound there, but you'll see exactly what happens in a second when the front left gets pushed up, the right wheel's in the air, and it's not going anywhere. So this shows you the, with an open diff on any car, not necessarily a Combi, but once that drive wheel's in the air, you can see that back wheel lifting up, and it's just spinning. And yeah, because I wasn't there, I was sort of further forward or behind or something. I couldn't give her any guidance about what was going on, but basically she had to pick a different line. So you can see the BT50 being a four-wheel drive. Definitely you could hear it having to work a bit more over the same bump, but of course no dramas for it. So, but you got to remember these Combis on their tiny little 14-inch wheels, and you know, barely 60 horsepower engines, and yeah, but the one thing that they've got going for them, several things that are going for them. First of all, the ground clearance is amazing, for considering your tyres are basically 24 inches tall. If you put 24-inch tyres onto a Land Cruiser, it normally sits on 35s or whatever, it's not going to have that much clearance. So their ground clearance is amazing for the size of their wheels and tyres. The suspension's quite robust. The design of the suspension, the torsion leaves and the torsion bars at the back, they're designed to carry weight, so they can take a bit of a pounding. And their gearing, the first gear is quite low. That's one thing, I've got a lot of experience in doing this sort of driving most of my life in combis, and like having a 3-rev gearbox in a combi is just unbelievable. Like uphill, downhill, barely any throttle needed. You'd never stall it. Like you'd have to be doing something pretty wild in order to stall it. So you can really just gentle throttle and just ride that first gear up bloody quite steep hills, and even if you lift a wheel here and there, you can just sort of idle through it. You can see how washed out it is there. Camera angles never do it any justice. So, like, I've got a photo up a bit later that you'll see of the notorious Beer O'Clock Hill, and when you look at the photo, you go, yeah, that's a hill, I'd tackle that. But God, when you see it in person, it's I think it's over 50 degrees, so it's steep as, and like most of this thing, like you're looking at the ruts now, the ruts are pretty gnarly for stock Volksies, so, but if you take it slowly, you won't do any damage to your car, and if you get a little bit of wheel spin here and there, you hope that your tyres grab out. I think this bit of footage now is actually recorded in slow motion, so that's cool. Gives me a chance to catch up a bit with the talking side of things. Basically the combis had to work quite, you had to give them a little bit to get over some obstacles, and you get a little bit of wheel spin, but nothing major. On Buttercup, I had the same size tyres as Andrew has on the Gia there. Oh, by the way, that Gia's got a 3-inch body lift and a little bit of a suspension lift, but it's still fairly stock. It did amazingly well, and the tyres that he's got on the back of those, we went to get some mud tyres for the Gia to be able to have a play in it, and and the guy wouldn't sell 2, he'd only sell 4. I said, oh, stuff it, I'll mount them on some combi rims, some 15-inch Merc rims that I had lying around, and they just fitted on. In fact, I think it was like 1 millimetre or 2 scraping on the inner spring plates, because I had no time to play with any offsets or bloody spacers or anything like that. Would have only needed a 5mm spacer at the most anyway. But between the 3-rib gearbox in Greta's combi, it's only got 1776 and a little 34 pit carby, and the 3-rib gearbox and the 215 7515 pretty gnarly mud terrain tyres, it just crawled over everything. I had bugger all wheel spin for the whole thing. So so what ended up happening is everything was done in a rush. I had those the 14-inch mud terrains. I put them on some old rims I had lying around, and they weren't real cleaned up real well. Anyway, as it turned out, I had a couple of spares. So you'll see on Danny's truck Gidget, the steampunk combi, it's got had another set of tyres that I've had around. They were 235 75. Legendary. Danny actually had the biggest tyres, but they were just an all-terrain.
To get up here, fairly stock combis.
I might just let this voice on my own voice on this video do the description.
Very rutted track getting up. Got a little bit of damage, poor old Thea. We only we only painted.
I didn't have
Thea not long
the
ago,
spare
and
because
yeah,
one of
so
them had leaked a bit
that's
of
the
air. I
worst.
didn't have a
Just
pair of mud terrains
damage
for
on the
Thea's,
bumper,
for
just
the
the,
pink bus
yeah,
there
a
for
little bit
Rainer.
too deeper.
So I just gave her my 205/70, so a little bit, only an inch taller and an inch wider than standard. So they were they were the normal running tyres at Buttercup, but they're a little bit bigger, which always helps. But other than that, like all stock buses, so you can see those cool mud terrains. Yeah, they've really got gnarly side biters on them and whatever. Same ones on the back of Andrew's there. You can see the knobs on the side, and that just grips so well. So yeah, that's the trade-off, I suppose. Thea still looks amazing. She did get a little damage under the front of the bumper, but nothing too major. Yeah, just basically needs a touch-up. The buggy, once the CVs are sorted, it's just an absolute beast. So it's running big tyres and diff lock and all that. So yeah, so here's our group up there, and we got some strange looks from some four-wheel drives.
I hit the same thing.
Rainer, yeah, she had a bit of a scrape on the way down. Like, just you can just hear it under you know, the pan of your car.
Oh, it's probably in that corner where it was a bit of a
and
near where that four-wheel drive stopped.
Yeah,
but,
so
he's coming now.
This is before she actually damaged the bumper. So yeah, so here's the other crew. Gone to sort of, yeah, the whole weekend was pretty easy wheeling for him because
is that your CV
it's
joint?
such a capable vehicle. But seeing this, you know, even with the bull bar on the front,
you're an animal.
Caroline had a couple of scrapes. Yeah, and hopes BT actually even got a bit of a little bit of damage on the back corner, and I think it was from that dip that she entered before. You could hear the tray go crunch, and just a long overhang at the back that all those dual caps have. And yeah, so I think one of her
are you ready, driver?
Here we are after we've been up on the hill. They've got like a hill that's set up as a drag strip.
Are you ready, driver?
You can take a left or right lane, and
3, 2, 1, go.
So funnily enough, even with the buggered clutch, Andrew's car kept going, and Gunther's back right wheel was just spinning because the left wheel wasn't getting any drive, and it was just yeah.
I think it's a default win.
So yeah, Andrew was over the moon that actually made it to the top of that because it's quite slippery.
Yeah. Oh, so was Andrew.
So yeah, I might show you some alternative footage. There you go. So it was a drag race that never really happened. And here's some footage of Danny in Gidget. She's totally fearless in off-roading. She has the most experience out of
she's crabbing
all
up
the
the
girls,
road.
and yeah, it was great to see it in action. But she just ran out of speed and revs at the top there. So although she's got the taller tyres on the back, which would have helped, I think.
Keep on the throttle.
The gnarly side biters. You can see it going sideways up the hill. And she got like 90% of the way up. The last 10%, of course, is a.
It's always the last bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's not good.
That's not good.
So it took a bit to recover that afterwards. Just rolling down the hill safely backwards was the main deal. Here's Andrew and I have a look at the tracks for the next day. So we found Andrew tried to get up a climb, and he got sort of stuck in a rut, and you can just hear that clutch being tortured. I'm having a good old cack because it was, good times. I enjoy this sort of having a play. It's good being at a park where you don't have to worry about, are you allowed on that road and all that. You can just go anywhere in the park. There's the picture of Beer O'Clock Hill. Absolutely menacing. It doesn't look that bad from the photo. Unfortunately, Andrew, he wanted to have a go on Beer O'Clock Hill, and it never. It was the one weekend where it was closed, so he missed out. So we've got unfinished business at the Springs.
Send it.
Here's on the next morning, the Sunday morning.
Over here.
And yeah, Caroline and Danny wanted to do a bit more wheeling. And yeah, see those extra grip from the mud terrains make all the difference. Yeah, you can't really see all the dips and the wheel lifting, and
you're not safe standing on the road when Danny's driving. She got
Danny's
bigger
got a bit
tyres,
more
so
weight.
she should be okay.
Yeah, you can see the wheel lifting off there.
Wheels in the air.
It's a little bit top heavy, that bus, so yeah, carrying a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's super gnarly. Oh, drives it really well. I guess she knows her bus, really, you know, what its capabilities are. So the yeah, well, Hope's pretty much, she gunned it through most obstacles without a drama. Pardon me. Oh, hang on, my bloody video's stalled. What do I do now?
So do your left and right
so
hand signals.
okay, I'm just going. Oh, it's going again now. So this might not line up. The video might not line up with the voiceover, but I'm going to keep going anyway. So here was a bit of an off-camber, washed out section. This is like a playpen at the entrance to the park, so it's like you actually see the highway traffic go past, and it's cool to just have a little play out in the open, and you can sort of pick whatever area you want to have a look at and have a go at. So we played it safe, of course. We don't want any dramas, rollovers and whatnot, but you can see here, doesn't look much in the camera, but it's, yeah, it gets fairly tippy. So front wheel lifting up, back wheel lifting up, you know, on the opposite side, and it's just rocking and rolling. So and if you don't have, there was plenty of cheering. If you don't have you know, complete confidence. Now talking about confidence, Caroline took a little bit of a little bit of convincing needed. Oh, here's some more footage of Danny in Gidget. So yeah, just she sort of knows her bus pretty well, but there was still a few moments there where you know, it's good to find limits without pushing too hard and doing damage. So yeah, this sort of gives you another view. I think this is, yeah, Hope filming this, so thanks Hope for the footage. Yeah, from here it just looks like a little bit of a pothole, but trust me, it's when you're in these cars that you sit up high in them, yeah, you can feel it tippy toeing left and right. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, Danny completely fearless. Caroline needed a little bit more convincing. We knew that we wouldn't, you know, guide her down the wrong path and end up rolling over or damaging the car, so we just had to yeah, just a little bit of convincing. But I said, yeah, I guess you got to trust your spotters then. So Andrew was in a spotting role, which we should have tried to do at most of the obstacles over the weekend. So you can see here again the open diff. One wheel's on firm ground and the other one's spinning in the air. So the here's Andrew giving it a bit of a nudge. So you give it a little extra weight on that, and yeah, so that's why it's good to try and take the weight off the front of the car and put more onto the back. So really a swing out wheel carrier on the back, you know, having that weight there rather than on the front of the car is a big advantage for traction. So yeah, so I'm just, you got to hear the little screams that come with the tipping. So I won't say anything over this now. It's funny. Slowly does it. it's that tipping sensation. So the front wheel's in the air, and now it's going to lean down onto that. Cocking its leg like a dog. Oh, look at that. So yeah, they're squeals of delight, not fear.
Here we go.
Yeah, no, it was definitely awesome fun. So yeah,
Just follow his
hats
hands.
off to him. Here's an alternative view. I tried my best to get everybody's footage, but yeah. And Raina actually had a 360 camera, but I might do another video just with that on the, because yeah, I just want to get this video out. So let us know what you think in the comments about, you know, would you take your combi there? I hope you'll say, yeah, that's easy, those tracks are easy. That's what we want to hear. We want to see them push a little bit more than the average highway. She's hanging on, Caroline's hanging on to that wheel.
Just don't forget which pedals you brake.
Watch out, Andrew, don't stand in front of the car coming down the hill. Yeah, you can barely see the hill on camera. That's pretty standard. So yeah, you see it, the BT makes pretty light work of it. Yeah, still lifts one of the front wheels, but the articulation on the live axle on the back of most utes these days is pretty good. Yeah, so yeah, not a drama, but yeah, I think it was good for Hope as well to learn a bit more about the capabilities of her car. So here's another rut off that's just off to the side. You can have a play in. Yeah, Andrew's clutch issues. Yeah, we'll have to work on that soon. So you can see those knobby tyres just clawing their way through there quite easily. So, and here's Hope having a go at another, I think there's a bit of a mud dip and a rise, and yeah, so a little bit of damage to the car, but nothing major. I actually think that damage was from the Saturday when she went in that first dip, but oh, definitely scraped there as well. So yeah, she didn't muck around. She was on that throttle for sure. So this is actually on the Saturday before we headed up to Love Hill. But I've just thrown it on the end here because it's pretty cool. Good to get them a little bit muddy. Buggies, not so much. You got to remember they're not sealed. They don't have, you know, mud can easily splash in the car compared to sitting up high in the combi. So yeah, easy peasy. We weren't sure how deep it was actually. Andrew and I went around it initially. But then Danny drove through it and I thought, well, it's not that bad. Easy peasy, look at that. Yeah, everyone was a little bit, it's there, you know, for oh, that's the end of the video. So for the hardcore people, you know, four-wheel drivers, they'd be like, oh, that's nothing. But you got to remember what these vehicles weren't designed for this, but they just sort of work pretty well in this situation. So here I am babbling on. I think this audio is going to go a bit past. Yeah, so I might just throw some photos up or something on the end of this. Yeah, so we're going to do more weekends like this because I know a few people wanted to come and couldn't get there, and they were hoping that we're having more so we can try another park if we want or whatever. The girls are also keen on doing a beach run, so we might round a few people up and see how we go on that. So yeah, so moral of the story is get out there in your V-dubs, and even if they're stock, and just hit the tracks. Just gotta, you know, just take it easy. If you gotta go out something at a bull at a gate with things like rocks flying and bouncing over things, then you know you're going to get breakages, and you know, and unless you can easily fix things yourself, then yeah, that's the way it is. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know what you think in the comments. Yeah, I know you're not used to me doing voiceover stuff, but I thought a lot of the footage all you hear is of just the
Keep going.
sounds of the cars and whatever, and a bit of cheering and a bit of squealing, and
Keep going.
and you know, when you're looking at photos, then yeah, I might as well talk over the top. So don't know what else to say. Yeah, thanks to everyone that showed up, and yeah, good times, and can't wait to do another one. And God, I might even get my own rig finished, my own dual cab. So I've got the same year model, 69 as Greta's. Yeah, but I'm going a little bit higher, so setting mine up for a lot more of this sort of driving. So yeah, anyway, Van Zelst Restorations, the overlanding sector. Yeah, it's something we're looking at doing a lot more of, and we're going to build accessories and full fit outs for people who want to do more remote travel and slash off-roading. Yeah, so watch this space, and we will talk to you later. Grego's signing out. Now, hang on a minute, I've just got to do this bloody editing business. How professional. Alright, see yous.